2023 has seen some big milestones for Seawind Catamarans with the launch of the much anticipated 1370 hull number 1 and also the launch of the 1170 hull number 1, which we can see here. This is Laurie Sue, owned by Billy and Sierra, and their channel is Tula Summer. And today we're going to go for a tour through the boat and learn about all the features that are in this new model for Seawind Catamarans. The Seawind 1170 at 39 foot is a new model for us, coming back down in size. We've just released a 45 footer and we're seeing a lot of people are moving up into this 45 foot range. But at Seawind Catamarans we've really built our business on the Seawind 1000, 33, then 35 foot when it got extended, the Seawind 1160, which is a 38 foot boat, and then this is the next generation that's come through at a 39 foot boat. And the reason why we've done that, which we really feel is important, is for couples going cruising, which really is our core market. 39 foot is just the right size for a couple to be able to manage the boat, manage the maintenance, manage the costs, and as a whole it's the right size for people just to ease into cruising. So come on board, we'll take a look through the boat and we can go through some of those classic Seawind features and also the new features we've got on this new model. So the 1170 was a design that's been led by Richard Ward, the company founder and CEO. And when the brief was put together for this boat, we really put all the features from our other models, the 1160, the 1190, 1260, and just tried to go through the list and say, what are the features that our customers just always come back to us saying, I love that. Don't get rid of that feature. This is the reason why I bought Seawind. We brought all those features and we brought them into this design brief. And then we added some new innovations, some new content, and really gave it a huge facelift to give this very modern style and modern hull shape that we see on the 1170. So when we talk about what some of those classic Seawind features are that our brand is well known for, you can see firstly you've got the dual helm position. So this is the same configuration, same setup that you see on our 1160s and our 1260s. So we feel strongly about our helm position being protected, and having the dual helm position on a single level just offers the best and safest option for a cruising couple. I can see everyone in the boat that I'm responsible as the skipper. I can say to the kids, don't get out of this cockpit area. I don't need to go out of the cockpit area because everything's run back to here. On both sides we've got all lines run back to the cockpit. If I want to go to the other side, I've got a very clear flat run to go over to the starboard helm, and from here I can see all four corners of the boat very easily. We've got removable helm windows, and you can actually set yourself up very easily when you've got, you're doing your night watch, you're doing your passages with husband and wife team, which is the typical setup. You can see each other with the day bed here inside the saloon. So it's very protected, the helm here. We've got a viewing window so we can see the luff of the main. You can, if you've got driving weather, then you're going to have some side clears that come down on the outside. You can still control the lines inside those side clears, which are really weather protection. They're not full waterproof, but they're weather protection. But you can be in this position and be completely dry. When you want to actually, just in cruising mode, you can obviously, you've got a helm seat here and you can be very comfortable. There's room for two people on this seat, and the seat reverses if you're entertaining people or fishing off the back. But then the other position, which is common to our other boats as well, is that you can sit up on the side. If you do want to, if you're coming in dockside, or you're actually just in a busy waterway where you want to be able to see what's going on the windward side, you can sit up and get, face the elements a little bit if you want to, or you can come back in again. For us, this position being in the center of the boat is so important, rather being elevated where you're a distance away and you're not in eyesight from the people on board, or way out down there on the transom. Sure, you have wonderful cockpit space when you move the helm and you put it over there or you put it up there. You get much larger cockpit usable space for entertaining, but we find that safety and the enclosed and covered space is actually so important to our customers, because ultimately they're looking to do proper blue water cruising and they want that protection. We overcome the problem with the entertainment space by using our trifold door. This is a model that we've been using for a number of years on the 1160, 1260 and now on the 1370. So we have our trifold door area, trifold door that opens up into the cockpit, and that gives us this huge indoor-outdoor living space from the cockpit to the saloon area. So central to Seawind's design philosophy is the natural ventilation that can be achieved, and we do that through having these large front opening windows, common to all of our models. And when you have these open on anchor, and likewise in the forward cabins, you can get huge ventilation through, and the need for aircon really drops down. If you've got it well designed, you've got the flow through with this trifold door up in the cockpit all open, you can get some really good ventilation. So on this new model, on the 1170, we've maximised that space. So you can see here, very wide opening, and in a similar concept to our other models, you can just drop it down, finish it on a rope to whatever height you want to. Okay. Now, also in the 1170, a new feature that we've brought over a nice daybed as a daybed for the people that when you're cruising you can lie and lounge, but it also doubles up as your nav desk. Good size. On this boat we've got C-Zone as an option, and the Vespa Cortex, B&G repeater, and then we've got the AC standard breaker panel. But this is actually a pretty decent size navigation desk, where it's big enough. A lot of guys these days are working from the boat, and there's plenty of space here to have a laptop, even to you could mount multiple screens here if you wanted to. It's very much set up for working from the boat if you need to. Common to all of our boats that are in the 39 to 41 foot range, we've got our offset table leg, which gives us a few different options. So primarily this boat as a two-person, possibly four people on board, very easy to accommodate people around the seating table. So you can bring in the ottoman, put that here, and very easily you can sit 6, 8 people, no problem. You can keep spinning it around. If you want to, you can then drop that down, and you've got a coffee table, quite comfortable just when you're cruising. Again, you can spin it around, lock it off. I find this the perfect size and ergonomics if I'm working on a laptop, very nicely there. And then if you're going to spin it around here, so when you're just a husband and wife on board, this is actually quite nice, because you can easily leave it here. You can access it quite, there's no restriction here. And then of course this drops down, and you have a cushion on top to make a full bed. So when you're doing those long passages, day watch, night watch, one of you can be asleep here and the other person on the helm on watch. So for us at Seawind, we run a galley down. I think it's around about the 43 foot mark, which would be the magic number. Anything less than that, for our side of the boat, we feel like you get a compromised galley if you had it up in the saloon area, and a compromised seating area. We don't think that's the right way to go. We'd rather have a comprehensive galley, which is what you've got down here in the lower hulls, and then you've got a huge entertainment space in the saloon area, which in reality is where you're going to be spending most of your time, whether it's just cruising or entertaining. So the prime real estate gets kept for what it's good for, but down here we've got a great galley, and there's a sort of a perception sometimes, I don't want a galley down below because it's going to be closed in. But when you look at the Seawind galley that's down below, one thing is straight up is you've got line of sight just straight out to the horizon. You can see through. You've got opening hatches above and then by the stove, and then importantly you've actually got this very open space on the inboard side where I can see someone that's on the starboard side helm, and I can also pass things up. I can talk to people. You're not in like a monohull, crammed in galley. It's very open and spacious. And importantly, if you are in rough weather, it's a galley kitchen, so you're able to lock yourself in. It's very secure. So here we run a double sink. This customer's got a freshwater spigot going through a charcoal filter. Then just a standard double stove, and the oven is standard on the boat also. Inboard side, typical bar fridge, optional freezer, and then a full range of storage above. Coming forward, so we're in the starboard forward cabin. So this is your guest cabin, and standard double-sized bed, good size, and you've got storage below the bunks, and then a big hanging locker on the outboard side. Coming forward again, you've got the ensuite for the guest cabin. So this boat's option to go up to the electric saltwater toilet, and then you've got your standard shower coming out of the sink here. Overhead ventilation, holding tank up forward, lots of good access, and yeah. So part of the new hull shape with the modern designs is that we have this chine on the outboard side, and that chine actually sits just below this bunk. So compared to some of our older models, we actually are able to give ourselves a much wider aft cabin here. So as you can see, you've got a full double bunk here and aft ventilation. So a much bigger aft cabin in here, very comfortable. Engine access is under the starboard bunk, and then we've got storage in the front section here. So one of the features on the 1170 that is vastly improved is this head height. We're running at about 6'8" going through this area here. Up in the saloon area, we're about 6'10", 6'9". So huge head height throughout the cabin, and that extends all the way through into the forward cabin, up above the bunks. Pretty significant head height, so it means you can sit up tall in the bunk and have plenty of clearance overhead. And yeah, on the port side here we can see general fit out. So we've got in this boat we've got our electrical installation here. This is C-Zone, which is optional, and we've got the autopilot control course computer, and then we've also got our DC to DC charger. So this is a lithium battery boat, optional, and this DC charger is charging the start battery from the lithium bank. Now all of our lockers here we set up to be quick release, so that when people are wanting to work on the electrical or up above, then you can store the locker away, so you're not going to get any damage to the timber work. Okay, so we're in the port aft area of the port hull, and we've got a large owner's side bathroom here. So head, plenty of storage down below, and then you've got a full enclosed shower with glass door, so keeping that nice and dry when you're having the shower here and not getting your feet wet. And then in the aft area here we've got the access to the engine on the port side as well. So you can see here plenty of access to the blackwater tank, engine and autopilot, and it's quite decent size. You can get inside there, you can do all your servicing from inside, nice and dry. So if you're in heavy weather and you've got issues on your engine, all accessible from the dry. The other thing that we find in our boats, when you're really cruising and you've got rough weather and you've been at sea for a long time, sometimes having the seat in the shower is really quite nice. If you've had a pretty heavy session, it's quite good just to be able to sit down and comfort yourself if you're on a really rough crossing. Okay, so we're in the port forward hull. This is the owner's cabin, so very large island bed. The benefit of the island bed obviously is that you don't have to jump over somebody to get to the inboard side. You can both got access, and as you can see, plenty of headroom, I'm 5'8" and heaps of space still above me. So we've got storage here. We can put USBs and sockets and outlets. On this side we have the air conducting, and this customer's selected to have fans on both sides. The overhead hatch also, we move it forward, because obviously when you're on anchor you want to get that airflow coming through. So if you put it on the centre line, it's really only going to be affecting the person sitting on the aft face. So we push this forward so both benefit from that airflow coming through when you're on anchor. And then down forward we've got, again, further storage, a series of shelves, and then a hanging locker with shelves behind it. What we typically see people selecting as options is to go for the mosquito on one side and then the full blackout on the other. With all the lines running aft, we need to make sure we've got plenty of rope storage. So on either helm, we've got a large storage bin here for all the ropes coming in, lines back, and then this has a cover for when you're not using the boat. Very, very safe, running it all into this area. Everything's tucked away. So if you have got kids around, you've got people that are unaware of the sailing, I suppose, dangers, you've got everything in one space, jammers all off to a side, you can contain that risk for people. Likewise, we've got the main sheet traveller is all up on overhead. So you've got no loose lines running around the cockpit. And that's one of the features we also have on our 1160s, 1260s. It's just making sure we've got an absolute safe environment for people to go sailing. Up here you can see our solar configuration. Now, on this boat, the customer's selected to put on 4 extra panels. So this is 990 watts of solar, but we do have options to increase that further with further panels going forward. What we're seeing is most boats these days are going for large solar banks with a decent set of either 2 or 3 lithium batteries, and that typically is enough to run aircon through the night. So it's quite common to see the solar increasing. However, we still like to keep a working space up on the coach roof where you can easily access the sails, where you have got the benefit of the non-skid. The solar panels, they're okay. They do have some non-skid on there, but without a doubt the non-skid is better for grip. And for safety, we find that it's best to keep a working space down the centre line. So here on Lorry Sue, hull number 1, we've got a pretty nice setup with the sail configuration. The standard boat is a jib and main, and that jib is a self-tacking jib. We always run that at Seawind. We just think it's the safest way for a couple to sail. You just don't have to get out. With the main sheet system we have, you can just tack and you don't have to get out of the boat at all. You don't have to get out of the cockpit at all. You can just let it go through. So very, very safe and easy tacking for a single-handed person to do. But then when you do want to crack off the wind a little bit and you want to just get a bit more foresail area, then going to a screecher just opens up the performance of the boat. So that's what we're seeing here. We've got a continuous line screecher. So that's a Harken continuous line that runs down to the port side, and we're really seeing this screecher, when you're running at about 120 degrees, is the optimum performance range. But it's really, you can bring this up to about sort of 60 apparent. Beautiful sail. On the 1170 then we run the spinnaker off the pole. So we've got a carbon pole and we're running a kite off here. Now typically we're seeing that kite is set up with a sock, and you can just deploy it very easily, very calmly as a couple. So rather than just straight douse into the bag, when you've got the sock arrangement, it's very easy to control up on the foredeck, and realistically that's something that can be done single-handedly if needed. Yep. So just looking in the windlass locker here, we've got our standard Maxwell Vitus windlass, and that's an 8mm gal chain, 55 meters of chain, but if needed, by option we can extend that to 90 meters. And typically we'll have an up switch here and then an up-down control at the helm. You can release it manually, or if you'd like to, you can add an additional down switch here as a foot switch. So also in this locker we have the freshwater clean here, so a high pressure hose to be able to then hose down the anchor as it's coming up. We can do that as salt or we can do it as freshwater, depending on the customer's preference. We typically run a delta anchor from the factory, but depending on customer requirement, we can put in a super high holding anchor per their request. So with this new style, with a much longer coach roof, we've also adopted putting in some rainwater catchment into the 1170. So you've got a huge surface area here. Basically everything forward of the white solar boxes there is all coming forward. It's all running down the side into this gutter, and then we've got a drain hole here. So it's either just going straight through, or you can put a hose fitting, you connect that on, and you can just run that straight into your water tank. Obviously you can put a filter in line if needs be, but quite often it's a case of just flushing it through and then going straight into your water tank. So again, when we talk to our customers about what are the features they love about their existing Seawinds, these bow seats are always a hit for anybody, but really especially with guests on board and kids, this is just a great space to entertain. And we do options for having the cushion area on the foredeck. And then the other thing we've done here, just again listening to what people are looking for, is we've just flattened out these decks. So you've got quite a nice broad open space here. It's quite safe to walk on, non-skid everywhere, and we also run a jackline system so you can make sure you can get across the boat nice and safely. And then as ever with us, we run our guard wires right the way around the front of the boat just to make sure we've got that complete safety for people on board.